99% of men waste their 20s, and I do not want that happening to you. I want you to be the top 1%, and I'm going to give you my life story, if you will. I just turned 27 last week. I wanted to make a video around this age, and I'm getting older too, so I was doing some self-reflection, and this is going to be a very, very direct video. This is going to be more of my kind of quote-unquote controversial videos, and I don't really care at this point. I see so many people pissing away their youth, and it's very frustrating. I've made the same mistakes too, so I just want to preface that. Don't be concerned if I go really, really deep or I have some very passionate talking points here. The first thing I want to get out of the way: you must lift heavy weights minimum 3 to 4 times per week. I cannot tell you what this has done to my confidence, my head, my mind, my stamina in business, women, like literally everything. I'll throw up some pictures. My physique, I would like to say I feel good, I look half decent, and I keep my health pretty well in shape. And physical presence, it changes everything, guys. It changes how people treat you, right? I'm talking like the bigger shoulders, better posture. It does deem a level of respect. People do treat you differently. I don't care what anyone says. And it sounds very rude. We'll get into this in a second, but there is so many fat and frankly unattractive dudes I see out there nowadays that do nothing about it. It absolutely blows my mind. They're hunched over. They've got horrible looking everything. And I'm not, listen, if you're in the gym and you're trying, that's totally different. If I see guys in the gym that are bigger, you have no idea. I have more respect for those dudes than the people that don't, right? The people that don't step foot in the gym, that do nothing about it, that's what frustrates me, right? And it's not just the physical thing, right? Testosterone boosts effects on everything, right? Decision making, risk tolerance, again, like I said, your energy. It also transfers that mental toughness. If you can push through like a heavy weightlifting session, you can kind of just push through some difficult business calls or some difficult conversations you're going to have with employees. So the discipline spills over. It makes my work so much easier. Quite frankly, it just makes everything in life so much easier. And I've never been, messed with. I still want to learn how to fight. That's still something that's on my radar, and I'm going to do it by the end of this year for sure. I'm going to start 100%, but nobody messes with you. And women notice this too. Employers notice this. Everyone notices this around me, right? So you have to make yourself a physical well-being. You have to create that. And if you don't, guys, that starts with everything. That just flows down all throughout the well from that point, right? So what I don't want you to do is get stuck here, because I see a lot of gym bros that think this is everything. And listen, if you're one of those dudes that just commits to working out 12 hours a day and you have nothing else going on in your life, you're just as much of a loser as the next guy. So hate to break it to you, but it's the goddamn truth. I don't even care. Point 2, you need to own a high income skill. Not just have, you need to own it. Okay, there's like mastery versus surface level stuff. You need to be so good that people are like, damn, they're asking you for advice. When that starts happening, when someone starts asking you how you do X, Y, and Z, that's a good sign. But it's also the independence that comes with skills. They cannot be taken away from you. Jobs can. Your money can. Other things can. Your time even can. But what you have in your head, I'm pointing to my brain right now, nobody can take that away from you. And that's the issue that I see most people doing this, is they rely on some bullshit system that clearly isn't taking care of you, and you put way too many eggs in that one basket. You need to have your own skills. And the best part about this too is its scalability, right? Great salespeople, for example, make millions, while average ones, they'll just pick up pennies, right? So examples of this: I've said this a million times. Sales, every business needs revenue. They need salespeople. Copywriting, words that make money, never go out of style. Coding, digital marketing, there's a million of them. Paid ads, AI, it doesn't matter, right? So reality check is most people have hobbies. They don't have skills. Skills will pay for your life. Hobbies will kind of just drain it, right? You need to get something that is making you money actively as soon as you possibly can. Master one deeply before adding others, and then just stack. I call it just skill stack. Just stack one on top of the other, and you will never go broke. That's how I feel. That's the confidence that sales has given me, for example, and now I'm into other stuff, but just that's the point. 3, this is a 2-point. Live below your means, and after that, invest every single dollar possible that you can. I'm going to call this the 3 tiers, so write these down if you have to. In my opinion, the 3 step-by-step investment vehicles that you should do is first, yourself. That is the highest ROI that you're ever going to see. Build yourself as a literal video game character. I've talked about this. So courses, coaching, books. Technically, I'll actually throw this in there. A gym membership is an investment in yourself. Good quality clothes. It doesn't have to be expensive clothes. I just mean something that makes you look well. Don't freaking wear some loose baggy crap. Like, wear something that actually complements your physique. It makes you look like a well-groomed person. That's another thing. Invest in, skincare, all that kind of stuff, your health, healthy, foods and whatnot. And this is where you get the best returns. Some of these returns are like on a scale that doesn't even make any sense. They're tens and hundreds of thousands of percent because they develop you as a man, like I said earlier. And again, this goes back to your mind. If you're healthy, if your mind is right, you are your most valuable asset. This is where you need to dump the most money into you. Tier 2, your business. So this is where you can get 100 or 1,000% returns, is your new inventory, employees, paid ads. This is where you can get a crazy return because you control the business that you own. Obviously, I'm biased, but if you have a freelance business and you want to scale, well, you're going to need employees, you're going to need some softwares, so you can reinvest that money and almost triple or quadruple your revenue in a couple months' time span. You can't do that with freaking crypto. And the best thing is you control this, like I said earlier. So that goes into tier 3, which is assets, liquid assets or non-liquid assets like the stock market, crypto, which I'm a huge believer in. The last couple of months I've been going down a crypto rabbit hole and I'm seeing that a lot more. So I'm hedging a lot of cash into that and real estate if you guys want to. But I say this because yes, those investments are important, but I've maxed out. I've gotten to a point where there's a diminishing return if I just keep continuing investing in this myself. I'm never saying there's amount of money that I won't spend on myself, but I gotta hedge myself a little bit here. I gotta have something cooking up in the background, my money working for me actively, which is totally fair. Most people rely on that too much, though, in my personal opinion. Point 4, learn game and social skills. The reason this matters is because I'm going to say it again. So many men, they do get comfortable. They do get, very complacent with the same women for years. And this provides you dating abundance, I'll say, which in my opinion also leads into life abundance. So confidence with women will translate everywhere. When a man has options, your life just gets better. You don't have to rely on some person that is treating you like garbage, and vice versa. You have your, duties as a man to uphold as well. But the dating market, I haven't even made a video on it because there's just such a deep rabbit hole to go on. I'm not going to, get too deep into that right now, but communication is everything. So relationships leads into sales and leadership and negotiations, and your social proof is popular people getting more opportunities. I'm just telling you that. The people that can communicate well and that are witty and that are funny, they are going to get more opportunities than you. So you can either bitch and complain about it, or you can learn the skills that they have. Right? So get uncomfortable, learn good body language, learn how to story tell really well, read people. I can read a room within seconds, and my intuition has failed me maybe 10% of the time, but 9 out of 10 times, people will call it the bullshit judging. It's like, dude, judging is like making an opinion based on something that may or may not be true. But if I know for 100% certainty that something is true, I don't call it judging. You can call me rude, you can call me disrespectful. I might be judging you, but if it's true, then it's like, where do we draw the line here? Right? So understand that better with women equals more confidence. You're going to get better in business. You're going to be able to network. You're going to make a lot more money because of this. Just learn how to communicate. Learn how to get into a room and, soak up the energy and read it and all these types of things. Your life will get better, I promise you. Point 5, take calculated risks. And I say calculated as soon as possible. And this is the reason why your 20s are perfect for this, is because there's lowest downside. You have nothing but time. You don't have a mortgage. You got freaking kids. You don't got major responsibilities. Some of you may have some kids, and I respect that. But you've got more time than most of someone in their 30s and 40s. So you also have the highest upside. You have a ton of time to recover if you fail. And like I said, if you're doing above all the points I just mentioned, you have a lot of energy because you're taking care of your health, right? So you can start a business. You can move to a new city, which I talked about in my last video, which a lot of people got stirred up about. You can take the scary job. You can invest a ton of money in yourself and other assets. You can have more room to play, right? So the mindset that I have that I did have, especially in my early years, was playing it safe is the riskiest thing you could do. That is the dumbest thing you could do right now. And if your peers are playing it safe, that goes to show that it's like, why would you follow the 99%? Why would you do that, right? Regret from trying will hurt more than failure from trying. I promise you that right now. I've always regretted not starting this YouTube stuff sooner, not investing a certain amount of money sooner, not, whatever. There's a million ways you can go about this. You need to start sooner. Number 6, your mission and you come first. everyone and everything else comes second. And I know that sounds borderline morbid. I get it. And society is like programming men to be selfless. Put the family first, be the provider, sacrifice yourself, which is important. But that is step 10. The amount of very wealthy men that I know with families started by just focusing and being extremely selfish for like 5 to 10 years, a decade, dude. All they cared about was themselves, saying no to every single freaking party, being very scarce with what they put their time into. You need to do the same thing, right? So the issue with what I just mentioned there before is it's creating weak and resentful men, and they're bitter by like 30, 35. You're no good to anyone if you're broken. You can't lead a family that you can't feed. You can't help others if you need help, right? So I know that sounds really brutal, and it kind of is, but you need to understand you come first. Your income and your growth comes first. Everything else is second. And then there's this ripple effect with being a strong man, being financially, abundant, gets, a lot more traction with women, with your kids. You're able to live a better life because of that. So if you focus on that first, you're going to be able to crush it long term. The final point here is, and I purposely made this last, you need to be interesting. Take a Renaissance man approach, if you will, right? There's so many boring, predictable dudes that just scroll all day. They do genuinely nothing interesting with their life. And I made this mistake too. I've traveled a ton this summer. I'm just forcing myself out of my own house at this point. That's why I haven't uploaded a video in a while, is because I've been traveling so much. And most people are just so painfully boring. I'm listening to these dudes talk. I'm like, what are you doing? They have nothing to talk about. No stories, no passion, no depth, if you will. They're honestly forgettable. They blend into every other dude that I meet, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? And I know guys that I'm very close with now, and I've kept my circle nice and lean, that they have a ton of stories. They're very interesting people. They make good money. They have things to tell. That's awesome. Women are starving for interesting men. I will tell you this. So again, you're curious about everything. You got to be learning. You got to be growing. You can hold a conversation on multiple topics. You've got strong opinions, not controversial, but like thoughtful and passionate. We're going to go into black screen here, but I don't even care. I got kicked out of the game, as you can see. But just, guys, collect experiences, not just money. Don't just worry about money. Everyone is so, dependent on how much money they make, when it's like, brother, it doesn't matter. I don't care. What are you as a person? What do you provide to the world other than, your 30 grand a month income? Like, talk about that stuff and develop other hobbies and multiple interests. And the reason I had this last is because if you do all the steps above, you have more time for hobbies. You can actually spend money on interesting things. You can go travel for weeks at a time, right? You could do things that scare you. So I don't know. There's a million things to freaking do here, guys. You could travel. You could learn to cook. You can, study history and have a million stories in that. You could do business. You can learn an instrument. You can whatever. Fighting, martial arts. There's a million things. You will never run out of things to say if you do all of what I just said above. You can connect with anyone. You can almost become an energy magnet. And I'm telling you, this transfers extremely, extremely well in business. So it'll make you, naturally witty. It's going to show that you're intelligent. And it's going to be, I guess you call it social lubrication, where you could just be a chameleon in any single group. You place me in a group, I'm pretty confident that I can, in any room in the entire world, and I'm confident I could stir up a conversation and be able to continue it. So I know this went way over. This is the longest black screen I've ever freaking had in my life. So if you enjoyed this video, please, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, if you've made it this far, I want to see you win. Thank you for your time.